Hello everyone, and welcome to this tutorial where we're going to be setting up mixed reality with only two controllers. Now, something I recommend before you really dive in and get started in setting up mixed reality is that you be in a calm state of mind, because setting up mixed reality can be a pretty stressful process because a lot of different things can go wrong. And if those things do go wrong and this tutorial doesn't explain it, then please go in the comment section and I'll try to get to your comments there. So the first thing we're going to do is you're going to need to download and extract the file mixed reality to controller. I'll have a link for that put in the video description. The next thing, we're going to go to this PC, to your main drive, and then to program files 86. You're going to go to Steam, Steam Apps, Common, and then to Steam VR, drivers, and that file that you downloaded. Inside there's a file named virtual controller. You're going to drag that over into the drivers folder there. And next we're going to go back to our Steam directory and we're going to actually go to config this time. And now in config, there is a file named steamvr.vr settings. And it will be something along this lines. I've heard that some have had this file be named different things. So what we're going to do, you can edit this in Notepad. I'm going to be using Notepad++. And on the inside, you're going to go all the way to the very bottom where it says SteamVR. And you're going to enter and get all the way up to those quotes there, and you're going to put quote activate multiple, oh no space there, drivers, and then quote, and then colon, and then true, and comma. And so make sure it looks exactly like that so nothing goes wrong. And make sure you save your file. And there you go for activating that driver bit. Okay, so now that we have the virtual controller driver enabled, you're going to go and do a room setup and make sure everything allows for the space going all the way to your camera, and so that you can reach it in this next step. Now you may see over here, once you get SteamVR running, that you have your headset not being recognized right away. That just seems to happen a lot when you add in this other driver, but it is being recognized. It's just you just need to move it so it all lights up green. So there may be some problems setting up Steam VR, and what you may need to do is just exit it and shut SteamVR down and restart it again, and that may apply to games that you have set up. And so what we're going to do now, we're going to go into the mixed reality 2 controller folder, and we're going to open up the program camera line. And when it opens up, it should display 4 different quadrants. And this is going to be something similar to what the actual look of a game will look like. It'll display 4 different quadrants, and we're going to be later selecting this bottom left quadrant. You're going to want to move your controller where your camera lens is. This is why I said earlier that you would need to make this space big enough in room setup so you can reach your camera. Moving your whole lining tool is done by squeezing the 2 side buttons of the controller if you're on an HTC Vive. Be very careful, however, not to press them again, resulting in your alignment not being where you want it. For rotation settings, X is up and down, Y is left and right, and Z is tilt. Depending on how well you set the position of your camera lens, you should not have to use the position settings. You will need to find the field of view of your particular camera and record it as close as you can in this tool. It is also important you don't move your physical camera after setting this up. And also, of course, don't forget to save. Something that would help you align the blue line in the camera align tool is to make a guide for yourself displayed over your camera and place a post-it note on the very center of your camera's view on the green screen itself. At this point, you're going to be lifting your headset up a lot to see if everything is lining up with your post-it note or camera. Once you click save in the camera align tool, you're going to go back to this folder that says Mixed Reality 2 Controller, and you're going to copy that file that you just made. So now in this PC, you're going to go to the drive, back to Program Files 86, and then to your Steam folder, then to Steam Apps, Common, and then now you're going to pick what game you're doing mixed reality. Not all games will work, but surprisingly some have worked that the developers didn't even know that their game was set up for mixed reality. So as weird as that may sound. So in this case, we're going to use Job Simulator. And go ahead and just click once into the folder and into whatever game you're doing and just paste the file right in there. So now you're going to start up Steam VR, and something I should have mentioned earlier is that you should probably have Steam VR closed while you're going through all the files, game files, and all the Steam directory files, just to make sure nothing bad happens. So now let's start up Job Simulator or whatever game you're trying to use. So now that we have these different quadrants displayed, it may take a while for them to pop up fully, and sometimes you might have to restart the game to actually get all of them to pop up in the right place. And to do this, we are going to crop out this bottom left corner right here. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to drag our game window out of the way, and you're not going to want to minimize it because it won't show up in your finished product if you do that. So you're going to open broadcast software, and you're going to right click and go to add and then go to Windows Capture. Now I'm going to name this background. You can of course name that whatever you want, but I'm naming it background because it's pretty much going to be our background. And you're going to select the window, and you're going to want to select, of course, the game that you're doing, and go to capture cursor, uncheck that if you don't want to have your cursor show up in your finished product. And then we're going to go to filters, and we're going to add a crop pad. And so we're going to single out this bottom left part of the screen, and for my circumstance, this is a 1080p resolution here, and so the top I'm going to put as 540 and the right as 960. And the way I got these numbers is I took the height and width of 1920 by 1080 and divided that in half, and so divide the height and width by half, and then you get these numbers. And so make sure you put the height at the top, and at the right you're going to put the width. And so now you're going to drag this over all the way to the side, and depending on the game, it is a little iffy for like Job Simulator. I've seen this happen more than what I've used in the past for this being Audio Shield, but you still have some space left over here. You're gonna have to fiddle with the resolution yourself. And the reason why my screen may look so weird, for one thing, is because I'm in a really small room, so I had to do a standing setup instead of the full room scale setup in the Steam VR settings. And so you're going to want to set up in the room scale so that everything will show up right. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is actually set up the green screening part of this. Now this is real quick and easy to do as long as you have some nice lighting set up, and you want to have that even distribution of lighting, and that's very important for this. And so you're going to go sources, add, and then the video capture device. And this is going to be your camera. And this may show up as your capture card. It does for me. And we're going to go filters, and we're going to go to where it says effect filters and go to chroma key. And now we have the similarity and smoothness settings. These are the main settings you're going to be looking at for this. And similarity is generally higher, and that gets rid of most of the green background or whatever color you're using. And for one thing, you should select what color you are using here, and you can do custom color and select that. And you want to make sure if you're using something different than a green screen, then select that. And so similarity gets rid of most of the background for you. Smoothness does the nice trimming around the edges is probably the best way to describe that. So another thing is, one of the really common issues with open broadcast software is that when you go to actually record, things are out of sync. And so something to correct the audio and video being out of sync is adding things like, for the video, an example is going to your video capture device and going to filters. And just like where we added the chroma key effect, we're going to go and add a render delay. And there is a max amount of 500 milliseconds for a render delay. So what we did in our setup is we added another render delay, but make sure you name something different. So render delay 2. And then you can add another 500 or however much render delay you found that you needed for your video. And another delay area you can look at is going to the advanced audio properties, and you just have to click on any one of these gears and it will bring you to here. And so these are also in milliseconds, but you can set this to however much you want, and it will list everything here for you. And it takes a while to actually set this up and find the correct syncing for both your audio and your video and all that. But here is, of course, mainly audio in this setting. And taking time to do stuff like this can really help improve the quality of your end resulted video. And so another thing we should look at that you may want to check is going to your settings and going to your video setting here. And you're going to want to make sure that the base and output are at the resolution that you're going to want your end result to be. And also in your, so not only in your output for the video resolution, but also in the output for where it says output here in the output settings. If you're going to be doing any editing after this, which is probably really likely because you already went to the setup of setting up mixed reality, you're going to want to go to the recording format and make sure that is an MP4 or whatever you prefer in your editing. Now, I made the mistake of doing an FLV output. I didn't even actually check these settings, and so it's a good thing to check these settings. Now, props to you for getting this far. Mixed reality can definitely be stressful to set up. If there is any questions, please head to the comment section and I will try to help you out there. Here's some of our mixed reality footage using this way of setup. Please enjoy.